All right. Welcome everybody to Gogotalx, brought to you by GOGOTIX. I'm your host as always, Malachi Johns. If you're on Instagram, head on over to youtube.com/GOGOTIX. Like it says in the description. Today we are joined by my good friend, the one and only Miss Yendy Brown. How are you?
Hey, Malachi. Hey.
How's it going? I haven't seen you in forever.
I know. It's a good thing we do have like Instagram and Facebook and stuff. We at least see, what's happening a little bit. But yeah, we haven't seen each other in a long time. But yeah,
right.
I'm excited. I'm good to see you.
Yeah, likewise. I'm looking forward to it. So why don't you tell everybody so just to sort of set the stage. So the premise of this show is I try to bring on people that not only have been involved in the go-go scene, but also have either been involved or have some knowledge of the national scene too. And as you know, from having been a key member of Mambo Sauce, my vision has always been to try to elevate go-go to the international level. So what I'm trying to do is connect the dots between how we sort of always have done things in I flipped my Instagram around. How we've always sort of done things in go-go, and how things are done on a national level, and what we can do to sort of bridge that gap. So with that in mind, can you let people know how you and we have plenty of time, so take your time, how you became involved in the music industry? Because obviously you did. I don't know honestly if you were in the go-go first and then got on the national scene, or you just did the national stuff first and then got into go-go. I don't really remember. So give us your entire story from the time you were born until now. I'm just kidding.
Oh wow.
Okay. I'm kidding.
Well, I was just born.
Into music, and
I was just born a few years ago. No, my career in music actually started as a background singer. And I sang background for Aaliyah. And
you gotta slow down, because you don't just go from I just started singing for Aaliyah. So
I know, right?
How did you start? What made you start singing? How old were you when that happened? And when did you realize that you could do this as a career?
Well, I started singing, of course, even well before that. I've been singing all my life. And like most of us, we start in the church, we start in that choir. That's what gets us out there in front of people first. So
where did you grow up?
I grew up in Washington, D.C. I am a native of Washington, D.C., uptown girl.
Okay.
In the building, yeah, Northwest. So yeah, I started in the church, and I've been singing, all my life. As I got older, I did a few little groups here and there, and then I met someone by the name of Cliff Jones during.
Well, I want to slow you down a little bit. What were the groups? Were they R&B groups, or were they go-go, or like what kind of groups were they, and what happened, and why didn't they work?
They were not go-go groups. They were kind of neo soul groups. I'll say that my first real group that I was in, and I did a group called Fade to Black. We had a single out called YOU. And it actually did very well for a while, but of course, the group did not stay together. Some of the members had some family issues, and then we tried to, you always try to replace that next one. We tried to put somebody in there that we thought would really, really fit, and we gave it a go again. It's just something about it. This didn't, make it
Well,
go to that next level.
I want to put a pin in that too, because that's something that I already have a question written down to ask you later about
Okay.
chemistry and how important the chemistry of the certain group of people is to the success of what they're doing. So what your goal, like when you created Fade to Black, or did you create the band, the group, or were you?
I didn't create it. A gentleman by the name of Lindsey Guion put the group together, and he pulled some vocalists from different areas. Howard University, another guy from Maryland, and then I've known him for quite some time, and he thought that our vocals would gel very well together. One of our vocalists got sick and he passed away, and we never kind of got back on from that point.
Gotcha. But the goal was to be what, like Erica Badu, just, or like what was the goal?
Well, this was actually because there wasn't a lot of groups that had two, because it was two guys. It was two guys and myself. I was the only female. So it wasn't at that time, wasn't a lot of groups out there that were just like, two guys and a female. So we were trying to do something, innovative, trying to do something new, something different. And the sound was really awesome. I mean, we had some great songs. We worked actually with a young lady, I don't know if you ever heard of her, but her name is Marva King, and she wrote YOU. Marva King wrote YOU for us, and we went in and worked with her, and we went from there. But then we had our downfall from that point. But we were looking to be more of a just kind of a neo soul type. If I want to say. I can never pronounce her name though. She was back in the, I want to say 90s. It's not Amherst. I cannot think of her name. But it was a young lady and a guy who came out a while ago. She has really, really pretty voice. And they had like a couple of hits out for a minute. So it was kind of long now. Say it again.
City High,
Yes.
Amel LaRue.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
I think those are two separate things, but I know you're talking.
Yes, Amel LaRue. Yeah, that's what I was talking about. So it's kind of like that vibe when we first came out.
So neo soul, but still like a little bit pop, sort of.
Yeah.
Gotcha. Okay. So all right. So that didn't work out. And then and how old were you at that time, roughly?
Roughly, I was in my 20s. I can't remember exactly, but yeah, I was in my 20s at that time, probably early 20s.
Let me ask you this: if you have been singing for so long, why didn't you start to take it seriously until your 20s?
To be honest, it wasn't about necessarily taking it seriously. It was lack of knowledge. That was a lot of things that happened. I would definitely say that it was a lack of knowledge, and not having the proper support or management in place to do what we needed to be done. So that's where I'm sure we'll probably be getting ready to go in a minute. But yeah, that's definitely where it started. I always look back now and I say, if I just had the right entity, that right team put together, then I honestly I think I definitely could have flourished and went a lot further.
Yeah, it wasn't as easy to find out. There wasn't YouTube, and there wasn't there weren't podcasts, and I mean there were books, but most of the books were someone brought up Donald Passman's book the other day, which everything you need to know about the music industry. And if that thing is like, you might as well have to be a lawyer to really understand it. Like it's not written on a level for just someone who, is a singer or something and wants to be successful. It's like, you're a lawyer or you're a manager or you're a business person already, and you understand the concept. So, okay. So after that didn't work, what let you know that it wasn't working? Like, what was the like when you got the new person in, like, how did you know, what made you say, or not just you, but just collectively say, okay, we're going to hang this up. Like, this isn't it.
Because we just couldn't get the consistency with the members at that time. Everybody kind of gets on their level of confidence about what's happening. Me, I'm seeing the brighter side of it. Come on, if we just do this, we can do that. It's too much of this, and you got girlfriends involved, and it's a girl, you gonna like her. It was a lot of nonsense.
So it wasn't necessarily musically that the problem was happening. It was like
it was both.
Okay.
Yeah,
Gotcha.
it was both. It was both.
Gotcha. Okay. All right. So that ends, and then after that, that's when you met Cliff.
That is when I met Cliff. Shortly after that, and I actually worked with Tank, with another little group that Cliff was putting together, and Tank was writing songs for us, and playing keys for practice and things like that,
Mhm.
and we tried. We had a couple little showcases and things like that, but with
So
a group of
Tank,
females,
Tank wasn't technically in the group. He was writing the
no.
music. Okay.
Yeah, he was kind of just helping us, with the vocal arrangements and doing things like that with us at that time. Um, I want to say his girlfriend was in the band, in the group at that time too. So,
Oh.
um, so yeah, that's how he kind of came about together. We all came out together, but yeah, it was just it females in a group. It became that part of it too, but it just never just didn't roll over. And then there was an opportunity. Um,
What was this group? What was this group called? Do you remember?
Um, I don't even remember the name of this group. I can't even remember because it was really short lived. It was quite short
Well, I
lived.
don't mean.
Yeah.
I'm sorry to keep interrupting you. I don't mean to cut you off, but
Okay.
because it's your life, like it seems like yeah. So we put this little group together and Tank with it. Like this is like for the purpose of the
I
show.
know,
Like,
right?
this is very instructive. Especially there's two things, or one thing that you said twice that is somebody was writing songs for you.
Yes.
Now, the people in the group weren't necessarily the ones writing the songs, and
Um.
not. I mean,
Well,
maybe some were. But I'm sorry. Go ahead.
yes, we were writing. Well, with the first group, Fade to Black, we actually wrote the majority of our stuff.
Okay.
That just so happened to be the first one to be put out, the one that Marvin King wrote.
Right.
Now with the girls group, we did not do a lot of writing. We
Right.
had writers for us. Yeah.
Gotcha. Well, so that's something that doesn't typically happen in GoGo, and that's the reason why I bring that up is because, um, and you may or may not remember, but I was pretty vehemently opposed to doing that with Mambo songs. I was like, no, we're writing our own songs because I came from like the rock band's background and the punk rock scene, and I mean, obviously, I've been
Right.
in GoGo for whatever 20 years or something like that before that, but originally I came out of the sort of do-it-yourself like write your own music kind of thing. It was like not really cool to have somebody else write your own music. My thoughts on that have evolved over the years, and I think that's an important point to make because I feel like the biggest struggle that go-go has as a genre is not being able to produce records that
Right.
can connect on a larger, national, international scale. And I think that a lot of that comes down to the stubbornness of people like me saying, well, no, we got to write our own, and first of all, it hardly ever happens. Hardly anybody ever writes anything. And then
Right.
when you do 9 times out of 10, it's not that good. But when you really look at a lot of successful artists, whether it's, Whitney Houston or whatever, like Whitney Houston never wrote a song, so
True.
you don't necessarily have to be a songwriter. So I just wanted to make sure that I point out those important things as you're going through the story. And so I'm sorry to keep interrupting you,
Okay.
yeah, you're like, yeah, I just play with Aaliyah and, that's just how, just regular stuff.
Well, I mean, I guess when you told the story a few times, it just feels like, yeah,
Yeah.
it was beautiful.
Right.
All of it, was
Right.
great. And I love that it's a part of my resume, that it was a part of my life. So
Right.
yeah, definitely. So
Okay, so the group with Tank and his girlfriend doesn't work out either. And
nah.
how did you know that didn't? Oh, you said it was girl. You said it was. Sorry, I've got.
Well, I think that was more so again, same thing, it just didn't we didn't gel as well.
That's it.
We didn't sound bad together, but it still was not as cohesive as it could have been. I just believe if you're going to do a group, then that group has to just almost feel like one piece. Like you can't have a thing, something sticking out, because it's gonna be noticeable, and it's gonna always be a sore somewhere in there. So yeah, if you don't have a group that comes together with the same thought process, it's just not going to work. It's not going to work at
So
all.
that's what. So can you dig in a little bit into the definition of gel and gelling for anyone that might not know? Obviously, I know, but for someone that might not know, I mean, you sort of touched on it already. But what would your
Yeah.
definition of gel be?
I think, well, my definition of gelling is just, one, I'm an energy person. So, just being around each other first and like just digging on each other's energy, like each other's flow. That's the first thing. You have to like each other. You just, I believe you should, you have to like each
Talking
other.
about
And
energy.
then,
I'm the one that's in Los Angeles. I'm the one supposed to be talking about the energy shit.
yeah, you know what I'm saying? It's energy thing though. I mean, but from the beginning, I mean, we had a certain energy when I came in. I felt like I already knew you,
Right.
and you all the way there. We don't talk regularly. We hardly see each other, but
Yeah.
coming back on, it was like,
Yeah.
just like
Yeah.
it's like
Yeah.
that's how it is. It has to be that energy there for it to work. And then also you just have to have like minds about where you're going,
Mhm.
what you want to sound like, how you want to do it, how you feel about doing it. All of those things have to be on the same um, wavelength. If it's not, then somewhere down the line it's going to explode. It may look pretty for a while, and you may fake out some folks for a little bit, but eventually the pieces are gonna fall off.
Right. So what about from a musical standpoint? How would you define gel?
From musical, I just again just having a like mind. Well, not even so much of a like mind, but having different components that just fit within this puzzle perfectly. Like I do what I do, and this person does what they do. That this drummer, this rapper, this guitar player. When you put whatever it is that they have, you put all those vibes together, and you just make this one big move. You got all these different vibes, but they still make one move.
Right.
So that's kind of how I feel that musically it should be. I mean, music is just because music for me it's a mood. If you listen to different types of music, they put you in a certain kind of mood. Different beats put you in a certain kind of mood. So whatever the music is that you're putting together, you just make one mood together.
In your experience, for someone that like maybe trying to put a band together or put a group together or whatever, and they want to find that gel, like from a just a mindset perspective and also from a musical perspective, is that something when you've seen it work? Is that something that you feel like is a result of like immediately it's like love at first sight, like everybody just comes together and it's like, yeah, this is great? Or is it like,
Absolutely.
okay, now we got to keep like moving pieces in and out, or it's got to be
No.
like right at the beginning?
Absolutely. It's like right at the beginning for me, you fall in love with it immediately, and that's where you want to be. It's like any relationship, you got your eyes on something, that's what you want, and then when you get in it, you like, that's what I was looking at, and this is what I'm feeling. Oh, this is what I want. This is where I want to be. And anybody that's trying to do a group situation, I think a big key too is knowing what you're great at, and everybody being great at something. If you know you're not a great organizer, don't try to organize. If you know that you're not, a great writer, don't write. But if you're like the bomb vocalist or rapper or singer, guitar player, do that. And let everybody do what they do and do it great, instead of trying to feel like you got to feel in every component. Everybody got to dip into everybody's pocket, and you don't really have to do that to make it work.
I, I feel like I have noticed that as a significant challenge dealing with DMV artists, because it seems like everybody in the DMV is convinced that not only do they know everything already, but
Hmm.
they can do everything as well. Has that been your experience too, or is that just me being ridiculous?
No, it is absolutely not being ridiculous. It is absolutely the honest truth that you could ever speak. Everybody feels like, I mean, not to say any, names or anything, but we've had situations where people come into a band, never seen them, never heard of them, nobody's ever heard you sing, play, whatever. And you know, you get up there and a couple of people notice you and get a couple, you know, that, then it's like, you know what you need to do is, or how y'all need to do it is, you know, well, you know, where was your thing going on? You know, well, you know, a couple of years later, it's like, you know, well, you know, I'm gonna go ahead, I'm gonna try my own thing, you know, I'm gonna do my own thing. But you know what? When they do that, it's when they respect what you've been doing the whole time, because
Yeah.
all they doing is getting paid, you know, initially. But when you got to do the whole shebang, it's like, you know what? I appreciate that. You know, I respect that. You know, but yeah,
Yeah.
definitely not ridiculous. Everybody thinks they have the answer. Everybody thinks they know it all in the DMV. And if we knew it all, we would be, well, you know, we would be further than what we are now. And so it's clear that we do not know it all,
Right.
and that we should be just as open to whatever it is that could give us a different outlook on what we've already been doing. Because if, you know, it's not working, try something else, you know?
Right. And keep trying stuff until it works.
Yeah.
So I want to give a shout out real quick to Robert Monroe Jr., who watches this a lot. He said, Miss Yendy, I miss the days of your band rocking at the Boulevard. Can't remember the name of the venue, but each and every Friday, y'all gave my friends and I so much life. Look forward to supporting your new work. And then shout out to me. Thank you very much for that, Robert. What was it? What was this sideline, or what was it? It was
Stonefish.
Stonefish. Okay, that's right. That's right. I remember.
But you know, we toured the whole boulevard. we did Stonefish, we did the Wild Wingery, we did Sidelines, we did there was another little spot in the Nook that was there for a minute. Oh yeah, we just did a whole little tour. But our home spot was Stonefish though. That was the Friday night bang place.
Gotcha. All right, cool. So this group with Tank and his girlfriend doesn't work out, and then what's next?
So that didn't work out, and I want to say maybe about a few months down, maybe 6 months to close to maybe a year. Cliff got a call that they were auditioning some females, just auditioning period for Aaliyah for her Coca-Cola tour, and he's like, I know somebody. He called me. He said, get your stuff ready. I got a ticket for you. You going to audition. I think I had like maybe 3 days, 2 days maybe, or something like that to get ready. And I went out. I auditioned. I was scared.
You went out where?
To LA. I went to California. So I went out and met her. They were in a hotel out there, and I showed up. I was nervous as all get out, kneecaps buckling, and just clicking.
Where was she in her career at this point? Like, what was
She had just started getting really hot at that point. This is I want to say one of the no, this was 4-page letter.
Okay.
Around that time, 4-page letter. Yeah, so she was just kind of getting hot, and so this is, you know, her time to tour with the big folks, you know, Mary J, the Drew Hill, and Genuine. All that was that whole tour put together. So yeah, she was getting hot right around that time, you know. So I went out and I auditioned. I stood in front of her and her dad, and I think the road manager, he was there. And I sang my song that I always sing. It's my good luck song. It's a Jill Scott song.
Sing it. Give it to her. Come on.
You put down coughing and choking.
While you're choking, Makeup by Navon says you look gorgeous. And
thank you.
Yeah, and Tracy, my producer, says Stonefish. Yes, she remember. You know, so you really made an impact there. And I'm probably gonna butcher this name. I don't know if it's Sadio Arnett.
Dio.
Dio, yeah, I knew I was gonna mess it up. But she said, yeah, she'll never forget you are her sister. So you get a lot of love
Yeah.
on here. All right, so don't think I'm letting you off the hook. Sing the song. I want.
Oh gosh. Okay. So my song that I love by Jill Scott, I sing it every time somebody asks me to sing a song. I say, "Woke up this morning with a smile on my face. Jumped out of bed, took a shower, dressed, cleaned up my place. Made me some breakfast, toast, 2 scrambled eggs, Chris, grab my keys, grab my purse, grab my jacket off to work, beaming all the way
Hold up.
down the."
Sorry, I thought that was the end.
Uh-huh.
That song was out when Aaliyah
that
was out.
that was out then. It was
I thought that came out later. I thought I'm maybe totally wrong.
I think it was. If I'm not mistaken, that's the same song because I sing that song at every audition that I
I
do.
feel like you sang it from Almost Sauce. If I,
I was going to say, didn't I sing that for you guys
yeah,
too?
I think so. Yeah, I'm pretty sure.
Yep,
I'm pretty sure.
yep, yep.
Okay, so obviously you got the gig.
I did. She looked at her dad. She was like, "I like her. I like her. I want her. I want her." So I was thrilled. Jeez, I ran out. I called Cliff. I was like, "Yeah." She said, "She wants me. She wants me." So I had to go back and pack, and come back that following week. So
Nice.
I
And
was
come
so
back to
excited.
California. Came back to California, and then
Come back.
where did the tour go? Like, what do you remember?
It was East Coast tour.
Okay,
So yeah.
gotcha. And then okay, and then that ended, and then what happened after that?
Then after that, I came back home, and when I did, actually, I came back home for a little bit, and then I went back out because we had like some spot dates to do in LA, like some TV stuff or whatever. And as I was out there, I met a few people, and I ended up staying. So I ended up moving out there
Mhm.
for a few years. So um, that's when I met Rodney Jerkins, as I was on tour with them. The MD introduced me. He's like, "I want you to meet somebody," and I met Rodney. And afterwards, when Aaliyah was kind of stagnated for a minute, I was just working back and forth and going back and forth. And when I came back home, I want to say that last time she passed away. I heard, that there was the plane crash and all that, and she had passed away. So it was very disheartening, of course, to hear that, because you just remember all of the fun things that you did and had, and how you knew her, how you got to know her, and it's a really sad situation. It took a long time to kind of, grasp it. I couldn't listen to her music and things like that for a while. I was just so, it's just hurtful because she was on her way to do really, really, really big things.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, so real quick, with Rodney Jerkins, you were doing what with Rodney Jerkins? Recording your own music, or what was happening
Um,
at that point?
I was demoing some stuff, and then I was also doing some of my own music. Met a young lady out there named Tyvee, who was working with him as well, and we did a couple of things together. And just we recording. I have stories for days about that situation and why that didn't go past where it went.
Let's get into that. But real quick, first, there's a couple of things I want to define. So you said the MD introduced you. For to
Yes,
anybody who's listening doesn't know what that is, that's the musical director. So
yes.
this was Aaliyah's MD introduced you.
Yes, Leah's
Okay.
musical director introduced me to him during the tour,
Mhm.
and he was like, I want somebody to hear you. So he took me over to meet him, and I sang a little bit for him. I think I actually sang something different at that time. I want to say it might have been maybe a Brandy song or something at that time, but I can't remember for sure. But I know I sang for him, and he liked me, and he invited me to come back to record in the studio. He had a song ready. They were the big dogs, so they had the studio like all day, all night. You could sleep there, wake up, and start singing again.
Yeah.
And so I recorded a few songs with him, and it was cool work. He's a musical genius. I love his music. You couldn't get a better producer to work with once you work with them.
Well, so
Okay.
so one, for people that don't know, Rodney Jerkins is most famously known for working on almost all of Brandy's original stuff. So it probably would have made sense if you did a Brandy song with him.
Mm-hmm.
People watching this probably already know that, but just in case they don't. But so you said, and I just want to define when you said you were demoing records. So I assume you mean you're doing references. Is that?
Yes, I was referencing records for actually there were a few that I guess he was trying to introduce to Brandy at that time. And so I would do the vocals, and then he would send songs to her, see if she likes me, she okay them, and she would do
Yeah.
them. He also had a young group that he was working with at the time, and I referenced a song called Damn for them, and then they didn't do the song, and he gave the song to me. So
Gotcha. So just from a process standpoint, that's something that maybe some people don't know, or people that are playing go-go bands or whatever don't know, that that is sort of a regular practice, that the person who's not the artist that actually ends up on the song demos or what they call references the song, meaning Yendy will come in and sing the song, and then Rodney Jerkins, the producer, who has the will submit that song to Brandy or maybe some other artist and say, so that they can hear it and they can get an idea of what the song would sound like with them sort of singing on it or whatever. And then they go back and they replace your vocal later on the track that actually comes out. So that's a fairly regular occurrence. Just not something that happens in go-go
no,
very often
not a
at
lot.
all, that I'm aware of. So I just wanted to make sure that anybody listening, sort of understands what that was. So, okay, well, so get into some of the stories of why that didn't work out. I mean, it's important for people to know.
Yeah. Well, one, just being a female sometimes it has its perks, and then it has is
Drawback.
is drawbacks definitely. And if you're halfway, decent looking female, and you look good, you're gonna get tested. So you get that to dangle in your face like, I'm a hot producer, I can get you here, I can sign your name right now. But look, let's shut everything down for a minute, and let's go talk. Let's go talk in the back. And I'm just not with it. I couldn't get with it. I could. And I was out there with some crazy stuff in LA, but I just couldn't later on look down the line at my career and say, I got this because, I slept with somebody. And
Mhm.
I refused to do it that way. So if I had to wait however long I was gonna have to wait, I'll just have to wait for it. I just couldn't do it. Like I said, I'm an energy person. If I'm not feeling you in that direction of my body, I just can't do it.
Right.
Same thing with drugs, all of the, I can't do
Yeah.
that stuff.
So, I mean, this is pertinent now, obviously, with with the Me Too movement and all that. I mean, I'm not trying to like call anybody out on this show or anything like that, but it is important for young ladies and for men to know, like, that shit ain't cool. You know what I'm
Yeah.
saying?
Yeah.
But so don't do it. That's just manipulative, and it's just not cool at all.
Not at all. Not at all. Nope. I was sent home. I was sent home that night from the studio because of that. And
Oh,
then when it was time for me to go back, he wouldn't, like answer my calls when, so I could get home. He was my ticket to get back.
oh,
And he wouldn't, respond. Eventually he did, but it took a while. Like I had to like at that time, I'm a struggling artist, so I ain't have, $400 or $500 to like, get me back to where I was going at the time. So,
right.
so I was kind of stuck. So I had to, call home. I was calling my girlfriend just hollered in on that she lived I had to call her and let her know what was going on. So I had to get help just to try to get me back where I needed to be. So I was a lot more cautious at that point, just of being alone, period, with any, body, men, like that.
For sure. For sure. So what? Okay. So was that? Did you feel like at that point, like, oh no, my career is shot now? I missed my shot, or were you just like, okay, he's an asshole, I got to move on to the next one?
No, absolutely. When you're young, you're scared. You don't know. You think that this was your chance and your only chance. You
Mhm.
don't know how to you if this opportunity can ever come again. And what is he going to tell the next person? What is he going to say to another person that may have some ability to do something? So of course, yeah, it was I was all messed up, because I'm like, wow, this big guy in two different ways. He wasn't a little guy then, this big guy who was a big guy in the industry as well. you know,
He
he
was
was like,
he was rotund.
yes, that's when, that's before he started, losing and stuff. So,
Mm.
hey, it is what it is. But I definitely I was scared. I was afraid for my career, and I'm like, wow, I'm never gonna be able to do this now. I'm gonna be tucked under somewhere. I just had no clue what happened at this point. I'm gonna get home and my chance is done.
So okay, you eventually got home, and
Yes.
then what was your next step from there?
And then from there, I featured a lot. Once I came back, I did a lot of record. Now, you can't quote me. I've sang on a lot of people's stuff, but I did stuff so spontaneous. People would call me like that day and ask me to come in the studio, and I would sit in the parking lot and listen to music and go back in and sing it, and things like that. But that's a good thing because people felt confident enough that I could do it. But there was a basketball player, and I can't think his name right now, but I know he played on the Wizards at one time. But they weren't even the Wizards. What was the name before the
Well,
Wizards?
now
Yes,
they've been a wizard for a long time though.
Wizards for a long time. Okay, so
Yeah.
yeah, so he played with them, and he was into his rap career, basketball rappers. So he needed some backgrounds done. So I went in and did some backgrounds for him. I don't know whatever happened to his rap career, but I did do that. I got paid, so I don't know. But anyway, but yeah, when I came back, I just did a lot of that. Referencing. I came and I did a lot of my music. I worked with a drummer who's a great producer. His name is Phil Loman. That's like my baby. I loved him. He could play some drums for. He lives in Atlanta now. But yeah, so that I just recorded a lot. I referenced a lot. I did a lot of stuff on other people's albums. I wrote on other people's projects. So I just came back and just started, working, and then I want to say kind of fast forward just a tad bit after that would be where I met you guys.
Okay. Well, real quick before we get there, so talk about the difference between when you are referencing or like you said singing backgrounds or something like that where you are a hired gun versus
Mhm.
being part of a project or songwriter or something, like just from a financial standpoint. Like I'm not sure that some people understand that, when you sing backgrounds for somebody or when you are, like what they call a work for hire on a song and you come in to sing something, you're paid a flat rate. You don't get a percentage of anything thereafter. But obviously when you write on something, assuming you're, affiliated with one of the PRO, ASCAP or BMI or whatever, then
Mhm.
you get royalties,
Right.
over time. So can you sort of like, well, I guess I just explained it, so there's probably not much.
Right. Right. So so what he said, yeah,
Yeah, but I think a lot of people don't know that. I think a lot of people are like, "Oh, well, you sang backup for Aaliyah. You should be a millionaire." Like
no,
I got paid
no.
to go out on the road and do these songs, and
And do it right. Not
yeah,
just go and do it, but do it right. Because let me just tell you, on that tour, that was a young girl, but she did not play. When I tell you that there were people that got fired in the middle of the tour, as we were going to one of the to the other states, somebody was getting on the plane going back this way. and we'll show up, and they would take somebody from Genuine's crew and put them in her crew and say, Tank, sing. So
Well,
Tank was singing.
that's an important thing, though, and I was going to get to that later, but this is a perfect segue. So, what did you notice about? And this is really like the whole crux of this series. What did you notice about the differences? Because this is what I think. A lot of people say, "Well, this is GoGo. We don't do it like that. It's GoGo. We don't, it's just GoGo. We don't do it." Well, and my thing is, well, that's why it's just GoGo. Because you don't do it like that. You know what I mean? You don't, it's like you act like we don't need to operate on this level of professionalism because it's just GoGo.
Right.
Not understanding that, in my opinion, the basis of GoGo is so powerful that if we could figure out how to do it right,
yeah,
like GoGo would be the biggest genre in the world, because you can't put anybody in front of a stage with a GoGo band on stage when they're not going to move.
Yeah, absolutely.
So we just put up everything else, and I'm just really trying to get in people's head that it's really a mindset thing. It's not like it's not a money thing. It's not a connections thing. It's not the world is against us. The record labels are against us. It's not any of that.
Right.
It's a mindset thing that we look at the way we approach GoGo and the business of GoGo in a specific way, because we've only seen it reach this certain level of success. Absolutely. And we feel like we don't need to do anything more to reach that level of success. So the point of this show is to connect those dots. So can you tell me, give a few examples, if you can, or however many you can, of how the Aaliyah camp was run differently than a GoGo band?
Well, of course, I mean, there was structure, and you were not rolling into rehearsals when you feel like it. You better be on time, because if you weren't, the possibility of you even performing was not going to happen. So on that side of it, it was more structure. Everything, there was itineraries. There was something put in place in black and white for you to visually see what this setup is going to be. There were just everything was in front of you. When you went on the road, you had your everything that you need that we're supposed to have. There's a checkoff list for everything. So the checkoff, and my team, my manager always says, hey, the checkoff list is serious, because whoever's in charge of that checkoff list, it's major. Because if you forget one thing, that could blow your whole show. So the checkoff list is mean. I definitely I'm attesting to that. That it's definitely mean. So I think that in GoGo, the checkoff list comes later on. When you get there, you got your, you did, how much, what time, like when it's like I've been asked to do shows, and my management for days are asking, what time is she supposed to come? What time is, and then, we don't know yet, or we're not sure. It's like, how is this a show if there's no structure to this show? But then I have to say that I've worked with, some of the legendary go-go bands who I don't have a problem. Your Red Essence, your Chuck Brown, Tom, got it together. It's together. I don't have a worry in the world. Look, I can paint my fingernails and don't worry about nothing until I go on stage, when I am in those situations. Anywhere else, I'll be on the side. I'm like, oh my God, I hope we're going to perform. I'm not lying. It's crazy, because it's like, I don't even know how long I'm supposed to be here. I don't know what time I'm supposed to go on the stage. It's just, hey, just can you come? We'll pay you, but it's just no structure. So the difference between what I did with on the national, with national artists, is definitely, it's different, and there are a handful of go-go entities here that operate in that way. And I would have to say that, Mambo Sauce was one of those. I have to toot, I toot your horn a little bit.
So, where, like I'm trying to remember. I think Stan introduced us, if I'm
Yes.
not mistaken. So yeah,
Stan
so
introduces me to everybody. Anybody that
me
say
too.
music, he say, I know somebody.
Stan is for real.
Stan is my man. He
Yeah,
is
yeah.
100 love on me all the time. I love you, Stan. Hey, Stan. I love you, Stan.
Yeah.
Yes, if
Oh,
they say
man,
you want a female, he calls me like that.
Strum Funky. That's what I was trying. I could just
Uh-huh.
Cooper Cooper, but nah, it's Strum Funky. Yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. Stan is the man. So originally we had a young lady named Tylee, and she got polyps on her vocal cords,
Yeah.
and so she wasn't able to sing anymore. And then so Stan introduced me to you, and God, I'm getting old. I don't even remember your audition. I just remember it just feels like you were always there.
I know, right? Because I'm thinking, it was at Kyrie's house.
Mm-hmm.
And when I did sing, it wasn't even like a formal audition. We
Right.
were like outside or something on the side of the house. And then I sang a little bit um and that's from there I just remember being a part of Mambo songs, and that was it.
Are you sure though? Because I feel like I could be wrong, but I feel like it was way because we originally rehearsed at a bunch of other places before we made it to Kyrie's place. We rehearsed at
Well, maybe it was a house though, because I remember coming like towards the back, and I had to come, I don't know, maybe like down some stairs or something, because where you guys, it was really really small. That was the first place that I met you guys to sing the song.
that was Chuck. That was Chuck's house.
Chuck,
Yeah,
okay,
yeah,
that's
yeah.
what it
So it
was.
was Chuck.
Chuck,
Yeah. So I couldn't remember because we used to rehearse at
yeah,
first we rehearsed at well, I don't remember what came first, but we used to rehearse at Michi's in the back
yeah.
of the cell phone store. We used to rehearse at Perfect, not Perfect Image, but Perfect. No, yeah, not
Perfect
Perfect Sound.
sound,
No, it wasn't Perfect Sound, but it was Perfect Image. Which
image,
was like Mike Rawlings in that place from 76 Degrees West, and it was all the way to the end of the street, and they had a build like a shed or something in the back, and
yeah,
and it was all the way to the end of the street by the railroad tracks, and we rehearsed
yeah.
there for a very long time. And then we rehearsed at White Mike from Backyard's place on New York Avenue that was over top of Mirrors, or it might have been like a few doors down from Mirrors on New York
Okay.
Avenue. Yeah, and it was like the worst sounding rehearsal place of all time. And I did it on purpose because I was like, if you guys can sound good in here, and it was like, the ceilings were like 50 feet tall and the sound was bouncing, everything was concrete, and it sounded like there was all kind of reverb. I mean, everything was bouncing all over the place.
Yeah,
Like if you can sound good in here, then you can sound good anywhere. So this is
anywhere.
yeah. So this is where we're doing it. But yeah, but what? Yeah, you were talking about. So I gotta really give a big shout out. I don't know if I've ever done this publicly, but I want to do it now to my man Chuck Charles. He I don't even remember how he found out about the band or how I got in touch with him, but he literally was like, "Listen, man, I believe in what you guys are doing, and you can come rehearse here for free in his house." And it was
Nice.
great for me because I didn't have any. I quit 2 jobs of mine. I quit Coca-Cola, and then I worked at PGC, and I quit PGC at 2 separate times, and I had zero money, nothing,
Yeah,
and I was like, "Okay, cool," you know what I'm saying?
yeah,
So yeah, so okay, so yeah, so it was at Chuck's. Okay.
yeah. Chucks, yeah. I
And
remember coming down those stairs and being in this little small room, and
yep,
everybody just looking at me like,
that's
"Okay,
the
girl."
room where we wrote miracles and everything. Yep. No, but
Yep, yep.
so I have an important question to ask you. For as I knock my phone over, as someone who had been on tour with Aaliyah, who had been in the studio with Rodney Jerkins, who had done all of these things, what the hell made you say yes to me in that little basement rehearsal studio?
Crazy, right? The situation looked like nothing that I had ever been offered. And of course, you did give me the whole rundown of the vision and what the sound was, and it was like right up my alley. And I was like, I want to do that.
Mhm.
Yeah, like, oh, there's somebody who thinks this. I didn't know that somebody here in this area wants to do this. So I was like, yeah, but just having you come to me with a blueprint was like amazing from this area. I had never encountered that here. No one ever gave me a blueprint and said, "Hey, this is what I see, and this is what I want to do. And if y'all stick to this blueprint, we out of here." And I believed you. I believed you. You sold me. You was a good shoe salesman.
Hey, but I had fly shoes though. I had good shoes. Like it's okay to be a
Yes, you did. You had good shoes. Look, I still wear mine. I still wear mine. So yes,
that's what's up. So I'm trying to remember where because I know we had written some songs. We hadn't written, you were there for a while before Welcome to DC and Miracles came around. I think we had maybe written. I mean, Drew wrote "Long Time Coming." I feel like that might have already been there. Black had already done "Sweet Baby" because that was his own rap song that was even before Mambo Sauce. We just sort of remade it. So was there, when you heard any of the music, was that part of the sale, or was it just the vision?
Oh, definitely. It was definitely part of the sale because it was so different, but it still had that thing that you like from where you're from, but it had that, but it was like it just had like more gold lining around it. You know what I'm saying? It didn't have that jagged edge feel to it. It was rough, but it was smooth, if you get what I'm saying. It was just polished. That's the word I want to say. It was so polished, and that's what made me kind of see on the level of what I was used to working with national artists and knowing what I hear from them and the quality of things they do, to come back home in this small group that, no one, I didn't know what they were, and to hear something that polished that's right here in my own hometown. Why not? Why would I not want to be a part of that? And then be able to offer what I had to this situation. So I was definitely down with it because it was just a really polished sound. I loved it. I loved the blueprint of it. I loved where it was going. And then that just was the icing on the cake.
Did I still have that poster board? I don't remember at one point, it may have been before you, but I had this like maybe 3 foot by 2 foot piece of black foam core poster board. And I had made like a flow chart that was like, this is, like merch and it wasn't streaming because streaming wasn't even a thing yet, but it was like, CD sales and, it was like this little, all these little.
I think so. I don't remember what it actually looked like, but I remember going like through one of our sit downs we were meeting, because of course, everybody always had their questions and things. So when we sat down, I'm sure you were prepared for all the questions and how it was going to go. So yeah, I remember you going through this whole chart thing, and letting us know. And that, again, part of the blueprint of how it's going to work. Because I guess that was just the question. Well, how are we going to do it? We've been here this time and it didn't go this way, but I got a plan, and this is what it is, XYZ. So yeah, I think everybody kind of just believed in it, and we went for it.
So I was talking earlier about the chemistry and the gel thing, because I think by the time you got there, was Drew there when you started, or
Drew was there when I started.
Okay, so I guess Drew was one of the first guys in the band, so he was original. But we had 2 to 3 drummers before.
Drummers, yeah.
I guess it was only 2. It was Barry and Twink. I don't think there was another drummer in between that I can remember. I know that Glenn was one of the original keyboard players, if not the original keyboard player, and then bass players originally. Ice, rest in peace. Ice was the original bass player, and then
I didn't know that. I didn't
Yeah.
know that Ice was the original bass player.
If
Okay,
you
all
look at
right.
the Fairweather record, that's Ice playing on there. Yep.
Okay, cool.
Yep.
Oh,
No,
okay.
Ice
All right.
is the original bass player.
I know
And
that.
Fairweather, Black wasn't even actually in the group. That's Smoke playing congas on Fairweather.
Okay.
But Ice wasn't on. Um, I'm sorry, Black Boo wasn't actually part of the group. Like I had to court him for a long time before
Okay.
he believed in the vision.
Came in.
And he
Okay.
came and just did a feature on the song, and then
Okay.
Kyle was in the group. So, but yeah, so I'd already been through a few different bass players, a couple different keyboard players. Percussion was always difficult. Smoke was the original percussion player, but then Familiar Faces picked him up, and then we had Spivey for a little while, and then. I don't remember. I feel like there was a couple people before we got to Pep, and so that's sort of the reason why I asked you the question about do you have to feel it immediately, or does it you feel like it's something that you have to work towards? Because I haven't ever. I feel like I always have to. Every time I put a project together, I always have to like replace people until we get to that final thing.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, you do.
So that's always a challenge, and for me at least, and I think because I'm just like a super over the top perfectionist nerd, so yeah, but if anybody else out there is a super perfectionist nerd, just understand that it didn't. Mambo Sauce wasn't built in a day. It was like, I started it in 2003. I started thinking about it in 2001, started it in 2003, and then it was 2007 before Miracles hit. You know what I mean? So it's quite a process of putting things together. It doesn't happen immediately. So moving on past the beginning of Mambo Sauce, when did you realize, like, at what point did you think, okay, this maybe, or did you just already know from the beginning? Did you know from the beginning that you thought it would have the success that it had, or did you think it would be bigger, or was there a point when you were like, okay, I think this could be more than I actually thought it was, or was it you just always knew?
I mean, I'm optimistic about, music always. But of course, I did not think, I thought we were good. I thought we were really good. And I thought, hey, people are going to like us. I did not think that it was going to do what it did. I didn't think that it would happen so quickly. And, yeah, I really, it all happened so fast that I didn't have an opportunity to really think about it, because as I was, being optimistic in our work and some of those shows that we had to do, our little showcases and things like that, it was just about doing what I loved doing initially and doing it with a sound that I loved. And so, that was, I think, mostly where my head was. And then as it started happening, it was like, oh, wait, okay, yeah, oh, yeah, y'all, okay, so it was just happening, So, yeah,
Was there
I
a
didn't know.
moment? Was there a moment when you thought, when you something clicked and you were like, oh, this could really be something?
Oh, definitely. I think when we first, like, I did an interview last night, and I was telling this that this is one of my stories that I love, that really means a lot to me, that has to do with Mumble Sauce. Is that we performed down, I don't know if it was, I can't remember which one it was, but it was on the monument. We performed down there on the monument.
Yep.
And do you remember how the front stage was kind of empty? It was just the chairs and just the ropes and stuff.
Oh,
And then,
that was that Black family reunion. You talk
okay,
about at the radio station event when everybody started running towards the stage.
yeah, and then they just played like the first couple of bells of the song, and these kids and stuff, they just bum rushed. For myself, I've seen it happen for Aaliyah, I've seen it happen for Gene, I've seen it happen for us. I'm like, we're on stage, and I mean, they was not kicking the chairs over.
Yep.
A little girl came to meet me, and she was crying. I was just in awe. I'm like, wow. So just before I had to like belt out the words, "Do you believe?" Like my eyes welled up, and I started getting like teary eyed because it was a fulfillment, just to see people loving your music. That's what you live to do this for, so people can feel what you feel. And to see that, oh my God, I was floored. I was so emotional at that moment. I was like, oh my God, you can't sing with the lump, Yendy. You got to hurry up and swallow or something. But yeah,
Right.
I was just really, really full from that moment. So that right then and there, I was like, wow, we getting ready to go. This is happening. This is happening right now.
Yeah.
And that's where I was with it right at that moment.
Yeah. So my wife asked which song was this. Gino, no, it wasn't Welcome to DC. This was Miracles. So
This was Mary.
yeah, this was before I think we actually released Welcome to DC. We hadn't even put it out
Welcome
yet.
to DC.
We
Yeah.
probably were playing it live, but I don't think we had put it out yet. But yeah, this was a Miracles was burning the airwaves up.
Yeah.
Yeah, I definitely remember that day. That was a crazy because I was playing at that time. Yeah, I was
Yes.
actually in the
You
band.
were in the band.
Yeah. There's a bunch of pictures
That's
from that day.
crazy. You gonna have to do one. You gonna have to flip the screen one day and do that one. Like, what was it like to play in the band and have that part, then manage the band, and then you become partly like the keeper of the people in the band, because then everybody's coming to you for everything, and then so like how does it?
I can do that interview for you right now. It was a fucking nightmare. Like that's it. That's the answer.
I remember the stress on your face.
Dude,
Malachi, we need to meet. We need to meet. We need to meet.
yeah, no. So I'm gonna get into that for real quick, but real quick, my wife said she used to play that song on repeat when she would have difficult times, and so
Oh,
yeah, well, so I remember like one of the things that really got me was there was well, I remember it was MySpace at the time was real big, and I ran
yeah.
the MySpace page, and I remember that there was a kid, and if I'm not mistaken, he played bass for one of the like not smaller but like bounce beat bands. It was this was a bounce beat was coming up,
Mhm.
and I may be conflating two stories, and I could be wrong, but there was definitely a kid, whether he played bass or not, I don't know, but he said that he literally was about to commit suicide, and he heard
I
that
remember that. I
and it
remember
saved
that.
my life. And
Yeah,
I broke down when I heard.
yeah,
I'm tearing
yeah,
up right now just thinking about it.
yeah. I remember that.
That to me was like, yeah, I don't give a fuck if we ever make a dime off
Dime.
this or
Okay.
anything. This song literally saved somebody's life. Like that
It
is
did.
more important than anything to me. Like that's what made that's what that was to me. That was crazy.
Amazing. And that's what this is all about. It's about making music that makes a difference to people, whether it's love, whether it's saving a life, whether it's just teaching a lesson, whatever it is. And that was a monumental moment. I remember that as well. I remember the silence that came over everyone when we were reading and you were telling us about this, and it was like, wow, this was amazing. I ran into a young man. We were like in Applebee's one day, and my friends over there, you know who that is? She sing with Mambo house. He's like, oh, is that you? You do? Oh, that's my song. And he told me about how his daughter's mom had passed away recently, and in a motorcycle accident or something, and how he has his newborn baby daughter. And he said, so every morning, he said, I don't care what nobody think. He said, I get up. He said, I play that song. That's my good morning song. That's my wake up song. That's my I love my daughter song. And I'm like, this big 6-foot dude telling me, and I'm looking at him like, oh wow, that's awesome. He was like, yeah. He was like, your song touched me. That song touched me. So we made music that touched people too.
Well, let me just tell you, my wife doesn't like anything that I do, like any of the music or any of the artists that I manage or anything. She doesn't like anyway. I'm exaggerating, of course, but I mean,
Right.
but she loves you and she loves miracles, and she loves
Oh,
miracles. But yeah, like every song you sing on, and she's I don't stab me, but I somehow have lost track of the original versions of the songs that have you on them. I'm sure Steve still has them, so I'm sure they still exist.
Oh yeah.
And she has never forgiven me because she doesn't want to hear anything if it doesn't have you on it. So,
thank you.
and she's gonna smack me for saying that out loud, but it is true. So, okay, so now I'm like getting emotional a little bit. So
I know, right?
so we've established some things that were done correctly in Mambo sauce, but I don't ever want to use this platform to try to like pat myself on the back or you know, it's not what it's about. Like the purpose is to try to give people actionable items and hopefully and also like point out things that didn't go well and try to figure out, you know, so they don't make the same mistakes. You know what I mean? I want people to learn from my mistakes or our mistakes or whatever. So we've talked about a couple of things that went right with Mambo sauce. What do you think are a couple of things that went wrong or some things that we could have done differently that would have, you know, that would have produced a better result?
Well, honestly, I think
and feel free to stab me in the throat as much as you want, because I know I fucked up just as much as anybody. So
I think we all just through our learning and trying to go forward. And as we were going forward, like I said, because things started happening so fast, I think that there just started to be more, it started to be too much of, again, everybody trying to take a chef hat. And, you know, just sometimes you just got to have that one chef to direct things, because if we're all on the same, you know, platform and one person just jumps out there and says, hey, I'm going to do whatever, then, you know, the other people are going to be like, well, wait, I have an idea. So you just have all these different ideas, but nobody to manage them at that time, you know? So that's what I felt where it started to go wrong, because we started to kind of spin out of where we started. We started to lose the energy in where we started. And so, you know, when that happened, well, when that started to happen, I felt it happen. And I think my last few shows with the band, I knew on that last show that that was going to be my last show, because it didn't feel the same anymore when I stood up there on that stage. Because like I said, when something is genuine, it's genuine. And you know, you just don't mess up energy. You can't fake energy. You can fake a smile, you can fake what you say out your mouth, but you can't fake what comes my way. So well, I can't fake what's coming your way. So when it started feeling different is when I knew that this is where it's getting ready to go. It's getting ready to take a turn.
Well, so one of the reasons for that, I think, is something that you alluded to earlier, which was me playing in the band, in addition to having been, you know, and I distinctly remember people getting upset at me because we would be in interviews and somebody would say, "Well, what do you do?" And what do you do in the band? And I'd be like, well, I'm the record label.
Everything.
I'm the graphic designer. I'm the guitar player. I'm the producer. I'm the, you know, and people would be like, can't you just say you're the guitar player? I'm not just the guitar player though. Like you know, and I never wanted to be the guitar player. I never wanted to be in the band. I never had any intention of being in the band. I only was in the band by default because Drew ended up going on tour with Maya and was not professional about the way that he handled that situation, and I had to get a credit card and go put an amplifier that I couldn't afford on a credit card that I couldn't pay the bill on, so that I could play the show that we had coming up in 2 days in Baltimore. And so, but that's not a dig at Drew. I mean, we worked it out later on. You know, people do dumb shit. I've done plenty of dumb shit, whatever. But if anybody is trying to lead a band and trying to, don't be in it, because the minute you're in it, you become at the same level, and and that's what happened. And I feel like I had difficulties with certain people in the band who had known me from before, from being a member in the same band as them.
the respect level,
Yeah,
it leaves
like
because
as soon as I was in the band, it was like, oh, we don't really have to listen to him anymore. He's just a guitar player. You know what I mean?
yeah,
I'm not like solely placing the blame on anybody else either. I was incredibly immature in the way that I communicated my level of stress and my level of frustration. And I
yeah,
could have done a much better job at that because but I didn't know, I wasn't mature enough to know how to handle it at the
yeah,
time. And it came out as anger, and it came out as rage, you know what I'm saying? And I'm sure that I was probably, wildly disrespectful to certain people at certain times, and not
mm-hmm,
make an excuse for it because I should have been able to deal with it in a better way. But there was an
yeah,
incredible amount of stress on me being the
yeah,
only person, and having other people that were involved in the business that um, or involved in the project, I should say, not just the business, but involved in the project that were cool to be there when the cameras were on, when the lights were on.
yeah,
But when it came time to actually do the work and all the shit, the hard shit,
yeah.
there wasn't anybody there but me. You know what I mean?
Yeah, but that's how it goes though. So that's part of the business. You know,
Yep.
people love the bells and the whistles and the
Yep.
sparkles and the limelight, the light. But when it's time to put it together before the lights come on, that's when you be in there hustling and sweating by yourself because people
Yep.
don't have the time. They can't find it. So I mean, I
Yep.
definitely get that. But I think we all were at that time. I think some of us on my end, I had already been jaded. So
Yep.
in my ways, I would not allow anything to jade me the way that I had already been in this industry again, and definitely not back in my own hometown to just be jaded like this again. So I think that with my jaded and everybody else just have their own personal issues and their own feelings about everything. We all were just very inexperienced in the life of this whole industry, and when things happen very fast like that, it doesn't give you an opportunity to mature in it.
Yep.
It just makes you move, and that's it. So you still are who you are in that movement. You didn't grow in it. The business, the part of the business grew and the band grew, but we didn't grow because we didn't have the opportunity to grow together or separately, really. But I think that later on, I could see it within just about everybody. I mean, I think that, maybe everybody doesn't know, but our initial break from Mumble Sauce was not the best break. A lot of us were not speaking to one another. And
Yep.
later on, maybe a couple of years after all that, I actually had a conversation with Twink. I had a conversation. I didn't really have a conversation with Black until a little bit later or whatever, um we all just we grew up, and we was like, this is the shit that happens in this business, and we just was immature in how we handled it and how we responded and how we communicated our feelings in it. Had we kept the same energy that we had and were able to communicate it the right way, then I think there's a possibility we could have worked things out a little bit better, and we could have came and found a middle ground for some things. But it happens, but I have no love, no hate for anyone in the group, no dislike for anyone. I love everybody the same because, again, just what we were just talking about, we all as one unit created something that touched a lot of people, a lot of lives, and to this day you still hear it. I go to games and they playing it at games. I mean, I'm talking about kid games, high schools. Just I'm at my job. I on just the different places you still go, and people are still cranking our songs of Welcome DC and Miracles. I'm like, hey, I was a part of that, and we did that together. However it ended up, there was something that we did together, and that's the part that I will keep in my head and in my heart, that I did something that was very legendary here in DC.
Yeah. No, absolutely.
Yeah.
So the one thing I worry about, I mean, there's a whole separate issue of whether young people in DC even care about GoGo, which is No, at right now. You know, it
Not, not.
doesn't mean that it won't ever happen again. But I don't. I did an interview with Chris Richards from the Washington Post, who you may remember wrote a really nice article about us back in the day.
I remember.
Yeah, and we've stayed friends throughout. And he was talking about the sort of the tradition of go-go and how it gets passed down from generation to generation. And I explained that my concern with that is that it has not been passed down to the last generation because they don't care about it anymore. Because you have, and I also joke with Tabby Benet, who I had on here, that I was like, yeah. So Tabby, how do you feel? How do you feel that you and Wale basically killed GoGo in DC? Because there's a very clear break that when Wale, Tabby, and then Wale to a slightly larger perspective, became popular on a national, international scale, and then other people like Logic and Shy Glizzy and Goldlink and whoever followed them. Then if you listen to my interviews and you hear me talk to Wink or talk to different people in GoGo, and they talk about when they started their band and who they wanted to be Rare Essence, they wanted to be Chuck Brown, they wanted to be EU or whoever was operating on a high level and had at least some national recognition. Well, now the rappers are who have the national and international recognition. So to the younger generation, it doesn't look like GoGo is cool anymore. It just looks like a bunch of 40-year-olds talk, or 50, 60-year-olds talking about back in the day when we used to do it kind of thing. You know what I'm saying? So
Haul out the people's ages.
so my fear though is that we just talked about how in our 20s we were not mature enough or sophisticated enough to be able to, or I wasn't mature or sophisticated enough to handle the extreme pressure that I was under to keep the wheels turning on this thing.
Mm-hmm.
So I guess what I'm saying is like, how do we instill into the younger generation how to not do what we did, how to be, how to learn from our mistakes. I mean, or is it even possible like that? I mean, that's the crazy thing. Like, how do you do that? Like, obviously there are young 17, 18, 19-year-old rappers. You got Zan Man, who signed to Atlantic Records. I don't know how old he is, 19, 20, something like that. He signed to Atlantic Records about, doing his thing. And he's not mature enough to understand how to communicate these things, but he's signed to a major record label. He's doing some bigger things, Rico Nasty, whoever you want to say, they're doing these bigger things. So I guess I'm just concerned, like, what is it about GoGo that makes us not understand how to navigate the national and international landscape until we're in our 40s? And
I would say this, Malachi, that of course, we can't, like, you can't save the world or whatever, but
I'm trying.
I know, right? But I think, what we can do is an example of kind of what I was a part of this summer. I was a part of a program with the Hersham Museum called Respect Her Crank.
Yeah.
And it's about taking what you've learned and what you have developed and grabbing these young people and being a mentor to them, being a forefront for them, being accessible to them so they can call or they can reach out to ask, hey, is this a good idea? Hey, what should I do after this? Or does this make sense? Just being, just being accessible to them. I think in GoGo, we are so, I don't think there's a lot of collectiveness. Right now, I think we're trying to be, because GoGo is the thing now. Mm-hmm. We couldn't even play GoGo just a few months back before this thing. The
Yep.
venues were shutting down because of GoGo. You couldn't bring congos in. I could had to have my congo player in the audience because a certain place didn't want congos because that was considered GoGo. But now GoGo is the light of what it is. And so that with with that, it's like you have to choose how you want to do it. If you just want to do it for the love, you just want to do it for the fun, then just do that. Don't worry about those other things. But those really want a career in just music, because I believe that we should be able to go to Google, and just like you look up uh jazz, R&B, neo soul, grass, all of those things. We should be able to look up GoGo. I do this a lot. I go to look up tracks, and so I'll put an R&B track, neo soul track, certain type crap. So I say, you know what, I want to do it. I'm gonna see something. I put in. I said GoGo type beat, and you know what comes up? That yeah, it has nothing about what GoGo is for what we call it GoGo. GoGo is a whole nother thing, So there should be a genre that because we've been doing this forever, and there should be a genre that you can go to and say, oh, what is GoGo? Let me look it up, and then you look it up and you actually hear it, not get some little phony definition of what GoGo is, the rhythm of the beats and the drums, and it's so much more to it. But
well, I can tell you why. I can tell you why that is, and I know because when I first joined the Recording Academy, shout out to Tom Goldfogle again, who invited the GoGo community to come to a meeting of the Recording Academy. If you don't know what the Recording Academy is, it's the organization that puts on the Grammys. But it's not just the Grammys. It's basically an advocacy group for recording artists and producers, etc. Around the world. So he invited a bunch of people in GoGo. All of the Mount Rushmore of GoGo was there. This was probably 2008, maybe something like that. And we went to this meeting, and the idea, it was a membership drive, it was to try to get people to, it's a membership organization. You pay like $100 a year or whatever. You have to have a certain amount of credits to be a voting member, blah, 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 blah. They were trying to get people in the GoGo community to participate in this organization and be part of it. And somebody asked at the meeting, why isn't there a genre, a GoGo genre? And I don't remember the exact number. I want to say it was 800, but it could even be 80, and it still wouldn't. There was a specific number of commercial releases that meet a certain standard. And when I mean standard, I don't mean musical standard. I mean, it just has to be released on this was pre-Spotify, you know what I'm saying? And this was like iTunes, I think, was just coming out at the time. So this was like, you had to put out a CD that had a barcode, that had a, whatever, was actually distributed in the stores or something like that. There had to be a minimum of, I want to say it was 800 releases per year. Even if it was 80, GoGo doesn't even have that. Even now, even at its best, GoGo doesn't have 80 releases a year that meet that criteria. You know what I mean? Now it's a lot easier now because an official release, I'm not even sure how they define it now, but put it out on Spotify, put it up, there's TuneCore, all you can do now. So it would be easier for it to happen now, but still, we still don't put, to me, this was, maybe not said explicitly, but was the entire motivation for Mambo Sauce. If there is a problem with GoGo, if you are a person who I'm one who thinks that there is a problem, that GoGo is not recognized on a much larger scale than it is. Some people don't believe that. I do. If you do believe that, there's a million reasons why, but there's one that's at the center of all of them, and that is records. Yeah. The recording industry, the music industry, even the live industry to a certain extent is predicated on records. If you don't have records, you can't make the other parts of this ecosystem work. It's like a spoke in the middle of a wheel. This is the record, and everything else comes off of that. And so that's why there's no genre, because there's not enough records. And I sort of understand why people aren't making records in go-go, because it's extremely expensive to get a huge band, to go in there. I mean, even Mambo Sauce is 7 people, was the smallest go-go band in history, and
Yeah.
maybe not now, but it was at the time, and that was still extremely expensive, to go into the studio, and it was extremely, as I'm sure you remember, we were driving to Baltimore. Like I remember
Yeah.
I interviewed Big Tony a couple of weeks ago, and he was talking about when Trouble Funk was recording, they would go to Philly, or they would go to, I can't remember if it was Philly or Jersey or New York or somewhere. They would go, like, to record these records. And I
Yeah.
remember very distinctly towards the end, certain people that shall remain nameless complaining incessantly about having to drive 30 minutes to Baltimore to go to the studio.
Yeah. Yeah. But that was one of the best studios. I mean, I want to say that I've been in a long time, since, just recording. Like it was, I love that studio. It was a little, it looked like a small studio, but when you go in there, it's huge.
Yep.
But I mean, yeah, that was one of the best studios to record out of. Absolutely. So
Yeah. Well, and it wasn't even just about the actual studio. It was about Steve. It was about the guy that
yeah,
ran it. You can,
exactly.
yeah, because
Steve was awesome.
yeah,
Yeah, he was awesome. He put together a mix and a master that was just incredible. Obviously, because I mean, look what it did, But yeah, his ear is crazy. His ear
right,
is crazy. Yeah.
yeah. So okay, so we've identified some of the issues after I just went off on a total tangent. So the first recommendation for young people that may be interested in go-go, which there's maybe like 2 of you. Don't play in the band and be the manager at the same time. Don't play in the band and be the manager and the record label and the graphic designer and the booking agent and the producer.
It won't work.
Don't recommend it. I don't recommend it at all.
I
It's
don't
terrible.
recommend.
Yeah, it's the most stressful thing that you'll ever imagine. Anything else? Any other pointers? Real quick before I forget. So with the Hirschhorn thing, how did they engage the youth? How did the youth become involved in this program?
Well, they had a few entities that were involved already, and they went to, I want to say, some different schools, and they had them submit, I guess, some of their work, and then they chose the top 10. And so the top 10 were able to come and be a part of the program and learn from different women in GoGo, that could that could teach them writing skills, that could teach them how to write go-go to go-go beats, how to perform, how to just in general, just putting a production together. Because at the end, that's what they did. They put a showcase together at the end, and they did awesome. I was so proud of them. I've been shouting out one of the young ladies on Instagram, and like she's had, her voice is so dope, and she did her thing. They all did awesome, and when they did their collective project together, you could just hear and see the influences, that we put there, so
So
um
what do they have to submit? They had to submit like a recording or something, or what?
yeah, I think they had to submit like there, yeah, maybe like a slight recording, something they may have did even over a track or something, so you can hear vocals, or if they play some type of instrument, they would play the instrument and send that. And so and then I think along with that, it had to have like their direction and what they really, wanted to do in music, and if they wanted to be behind the scenes, in front of scenes, however. So a lot of that came along with it. Well, it wasn't just performing and just had to really have the whole package together to be a part of it, so that they could come on and have this experience. I think they all enjoyed it. They all reached out. Twink was also a part of it as well, and It was, it was a fun experience. I enjoyed the ladies.
So what
I actually enjoyed getting in touch with some of the ladies from the area too and go. I didn't even know, that
was
they really did go.
what would the incentive for the students to do it? Just I mean, like, did they win a prize, or did they? Or I'm just curious, like, why would I'm always interested in the actual interest level of high school and college age kids in go-go. And so why the reason I'm asking this question is because I'm like, why would they do it? If like, what was the incentive for them to do it? Was it just to be able to do the showcase and have something to show for it, or what?
It was no big prize or anything at the end. It was a free program that you got to be a part of, and you got to, um, um, you know, meet different people that could help you along the way in some of the areas that you, you wanted to learn. And then also it gave you an opportunity to go into a real studio, and record this, and make a real production all the way down from video to to audio. So it was a whole production put together, and they were able to do that on their own, and then be able to display that and have a platform to display it on, because it doesn't just stop there. This continues on, further on with their product, and then they'll continue to create some more music. So their vision, and that's how they were picked. It wasn't because they needed anything tangible in their hand. It was because they have a vision of somewhere they want to go, and this was the beginning of where they wanted to go, and it was a motor starter for them.
That's super. I mean, that's like incredibly encouraging, because
Yeah.
the vibe. I mean, obviously, I'm all the way across the country, but the vibe that I get and the word that I get is that the young kids just don't even care about go-go. So hearing that, even 10, like, even if it was only 10 that submitted, like, to have 10 kids that are interested in doing that is great. Do you know how many applied in the first place? That to get narrowed down.
Um, I don't know exactly how many sent their auditions, and I'm not sure, but I do know that there were more than 10, and I know that they had to narrow it down because they were like, oh God, it was so sad because everybody was so good, and you just wanted to just let everybody do it, but there were only 10 slots, for this program. But there were more. But I will say this: a lot, some of the young ladies, they were not from here.
Oh, okay.
So
Oh,
the
so some of them
interest,
were not from there, and they still wanted to.
and they still want, because the interest in go-go has expanded to a point where people are like, I like that. Like, what is that? And so they want to know more about it. And so when this came about, they were like, yeah, yeah, because okay. So they were R&B vocalists, same as I was, and what they were able to do is turn their R&B stuff into this go-go beat and make it their own thing. We even had one young lady who did she had that whole almost mumble sauce feel thing. That thing was so, it was so rocked out in the middle and the end, but it still had the go-go beat. Man, I was in there tripping out. I was like, listen, what's your name? And what's your name? I write everybody, because what's your handle here? Yeah,
Right.
I wanted everybody because
That's
they
dope.
they were interested, and they were serious. They were serious.
Is there a video? You said they made a video, or is it?
They did do a video. I think everything should be now on YouTube, but I'm going to check and see, because they just did their showcase like last weekend. So I don't know if everything is ready and up yet, because there's another part that I think they have to do first or something. But yeah, I'll check into that. But I think they're just about ready. That was their finale.
I'm sort of disappointed because they were they were tagging me. They were, or not me, but GoGoTix. They were tagging GoGoTix in like every one of the posts, and I get every part, every time somebody has a show, or every time somebody has to go on. So I can't repost everything, and I have a rule that I don't repost other people's flyers. Really, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah, yeah.
They were tagging me a lot, and I didn't really, and I knew that Casey was involved, and I think I reposted, and I think that I reposted one of the things that they showed that you were involved or whatever, and I reposted a few things, but I wish I had known, like, I wish somebody would have reached out to me and really sort of let me know which I'm gonna have to beat
What it was
Cam.
about.
Cam,
Yeah.
yeah, Cam hit me. Cam,
Yeah.
of Black Alley, hit me because he wanted to try to get in touch with Sunshine and Juicy, that used to dance for Northeast Groovers, to get them involved because it wasn't
Yeah.
about the vocalist. And he didn't really explain to me totally what the whole thing was about. So I'm gonna have to beat him up, which is a total joke because he's like 6'5" and like
I know, right?
probably got like 100 pounds on me, and it'll probably punish me. But yeah, and I really wish I would have known more like what the whole agenda behind it was, because I really I would have done my best to try to push it a lot more, because that sounds
But it's more to come though. It's more to come. So just like be on the lookout for them now. And also I'll tag you in some of the young ladies too, so you can see some of their work, because they have it posted up on their page as well, and you can kind of see what I was talking about with their finale page. But yeah, they're I can tag you in that stuff.
Yes, please do, because I want to support that, because anything that is that involved with the youth being involved with GoGo, I really want to support that as much as I can. So real quick, I want to get into what you have going on now, but we have a question from the Peanut Gallery real quick. So Gospel GoGo 411. This is probably this is either Delano or DK. I can't remember which one. Don't beat me up. Who wrote Miracles, and were the lyrics done first or the music?
I
think this is Delano, and I know. I'm sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off, but I think this is Delano, and the reason I'm saying that is because there's a few people that keep saying that Miracles was a gospel song, and I think so. This is where he's going with this. This is a loaded question.
Loaded question. Okay. Actually, I think if I'm not mistaken, I want to say the music we started with some music first, and
I remember.
Remember, we were messing around with the music, and then I was just waiting, to jump in or do what we were doing, and I started playing around. I was like, "Do you believe?" And then I don't know if it was Pep or Black. He was like, "Hold on, start, do it again, do that again." I was like, "What?" I was like, "That I was playing, boy." He was like, "No, do it again for real. Just do it just like that." And I'm like, "Are you serious?" And I did it again, and they were like, "Yeah," and do it over this bit. And Twink started playing, and then that was the hook, and then
wait, because there's more. So it started with Pep. Pep had my guitar, and he just what we call open strings, meaning he didn't have his fingers up on this part at all. He just was. If you play, it's B, E, G. So the three open strings at the top. He just kept going bam, 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 bam.
Yeah.
And he was like, "Yeah, I'm trying to tell you, this is gonna be it, man. This is something."
Right.
And so then we were like, "Okay, well, let's start messing around with it." And then I remember you sang it, but originally everybody was playing it like it was a battle, like it was a slow song.
Yeah, it was so melodic.
Yeah, and I was like, "No, we got to put timbales under that joint."
Yeah.
And so that was my contribution.
That's what made me do the, because it was so pretty, and I remember.
Yeah, because Chris, which is funny because Chris, the reason I really like Chris as a keyboard player and a producer is because he's not so like, "Oh, I'm gonna play all these, inversions of all these jazz chords."
Yeah.
He's real simple to the point, and the 808s, and he's just I just love his style of playing. Yeah. But he was kind of smoothing this one out a little bit more, and I was like, we got to put something in there that's going to make this go-go, because I think we already had like 2 ballads. I'm like, we don't need another ballad.
Yeah, we did. We didn't want to put him to sleep.
Yeah. So So and then Black obviously wrote the raps, and I don't remember if he worked on part of the chorus with you or not. I don't remember it was Miracles, but I remember one song where you guys went out to the truck and were writing. I think you were sitting in Kyrie's truck or something, and you and Black were both sitting, or maybe it was Black's truck, because I think Black had a truck too, and y'all were both sitting there like working out together. I don't remember if it was Miracles or not, but
we did that quite often. We did that on a couple of songs, but I know that I can't remember if that was Miracles that we did that on too, but
gotcha.
But that was a spontaneous song. I was like, this song is crazy. I like this is not gonna, in my mind, I really was like, this song is not gonna, it wasn't my favorite. It really wasn't initially. So you know, in the studio it was a push at first, but then I started kind of okay. I like it a little, and people always go, "What? You didn't like?" I didn't say I didn't like it. I said it wasn't my favorite. People like that song, crack. I love that song. I'm like, well, I'm glad, that we went with it and we kept, building on it and doing, and didn't just throw it in the trash as a joking song. But yeah, but it was a spontaneous song. Those are the best songs.
Yeah, well, and that's a fairly familiar story throughout every aspect of the music industry of a lot of
Yeah,
people. The songs that they didn't really like or they thought were corny or
yeah,
too whatever, not didn't sound like really what the band would sound was trying to be or whatever. That ends
yeah.
up in their huge hit song. But this is a perfect segue into another question that my wife has. And let me just tell you, my wife normally when I do these interviews, she normally sits over on the bed and has her headphones in and doesn't listen to anything I'm saying. But she's been watching this whole time, so I hope you. So just so you know, like she's a.
Oh,
So
hey.
she's at happy hour at this place over across the harbor. And
Okay.
watching it. So, but so her question is, what is your favorite Mambo Soul song? She asked that even before you said Miracles wasn't your favorite. But so now, what is your favorite?
My favorite mumble soul song I'm gonna have to say was um I Wanna Be Where You Are.
Get away.
Get away, get
Okay.
away.
So
Yeah.
tell the story of that song because there's an important story behind that one.
That song came about because my love interest at the time was killed, and I did not know how I was going to make it through. I was ready to quit. I was just ready to quit everything. It was devastating how it happened. But I will say that was one of the times that we came together like nothing. Black Group came and got me from work and took me to see him. That I guess everybody heard about it or saw it on the news, but me because I was at work. But yeah, we came together and we sat in rehearsal one day and I wrote that song and that's one of my favorites. It's an emotional song, but I believe that so many people can relate to it, and so many people could,
Mhm.
get my feelings from that.
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely. It's hard for me to listen to that song without tearing up as well, just from
Yeah,
remembering the circumstances around it.
yeah.
Um, yeah. So tell us, what are you working on now? What is next for Miss Yendy? What's around the corner?
Okay, well, right now I'm working on my new project. I actually have a single that will be coming out soon. Actually, we're looking at next month that the single will be out, and it's hot. I have legendary Go Mickey on there,
Nice.
and I got Stomp Dog doing some
God,
percussion
you
on drums.
ruined it with that. You were doing so well until you said stop.
I said Stomp Dog.
The best
Yeah,
voice.
I got Stomp Dog on there. I got my man Six on guitar
Oh,
and
he's been with
Bruce.
me for a long time. Yeah, six.
Oh yeah, that's one of my day ones right there. Him and Elmo, my day ones. They ain't going nowhere.
Yeah.
And Bruce Gardner and Six actually did the production on this song. I'm excited about this song, and I want to know your personal opinion. As a matter of fact, I might send it to you first
You should
before it
send it
comes
to me as
out.
soon as we get off this interview.
I'm gonna
And
send
I
it to you.
didn't
Well,
mind.
no, because I haven't finished. I'm going in
Oh, okay.
next week to finish the vocals on it, and then
Okay.
when we mix it down. But I think I'm gonna send it to you first, and I want your personal opinion on this one, and tell me what you thinking about it. But yeah, but next month that's happening. We're getting ready to do a live stream. Also in a few weeks as well. So, with the pandemic, you had to kind of moderate everything. You had to do it different now. So that's what I'm doing now. I'm putting my music out still. I am now a new entrepreneur. I have a new business as well called Yendy, Natural Body Scrub. So I'm doing that. I just added lip glass to my line. So um, pandemic did some bad things, but it also did some really good things, and it pushed my ass like really forward. A lot of stuff that I was procrastinating on that I knew I could have moved on that I didn't. It was just time, and so I did it. You know, better late than never, but it's happening. I'm excited for it. I hope everybody is looking forward to the new music to come, and I'm getting ready.
That is super. So where can people find you? Like if they like where should they go to learn what's happening with you?
You can pretty much see everything that's going on with me by my Instagram page, at Miss Yendy Music, and you can pretty much see anything about my business, about my music, about my life. You can see everything on Instagram. I'm not on Facebook as much right now, but I do still post everything to Facebook. So I'm not physically on there looking all the time, but I'm getting ready to get back into that because the music is getting ready to come back out. You can go to YouTube, and if you want to just reminisce a little bit, we got a bunch of Stonefish joints on there that you can reminisce to. I post them every now and then. But yeah, so catch me on Instagram. Find out when the single will be out. Everybody, support, and I'm excited. Hope you guys like it.
No. So I got the Instagram handle up on here, so everybody can follow you. Go follow Miss Yendy Music if you haven't already, and you can find out what's going on with her. And we're definitely looking forward to the music. And what is the live stream? Is it going to be on the GoGo World live stream, or are you doing it on a different platform?
I think we are going to do it on GoGo World. Yeah.
Okay. Dope,
Yes.
dope. My man Dave and Scooby over there killing it. I love what they're doing over there with
Yes.
GoGo World and a live stream. It looks great. It makes GoGo look awesome, which I think is something that is super important for the growth. Absolutely. So I'm so happy to be doing that, and definitely want to support them in any way possible. Yendy, thank you so much. Really appreciate
Thank you, Malachi. This was awesome. Congratulations on everything, all of your new endeavors, all of your business endeavors. You still the coolest manager out there. You still doing your thing. You still making your mark. Keep doing what you're doing. This was great. I enjoyed this interview with you, Malachi.
No, it was good. It was great. Thank you so much. And let's keep in touch more. Actually, I do have some
tell
business.
your wife I said hello and I miss you guys.
Yeah, well, she's probably still watching. She says how did I get to the comments? She says, love Yendy, she's my favorite. And then she said this was earlier when you were talking about your favorite songs. But yes, you have a fan.
You did good. You did good, Malachi. You did good. I'm glad you did right by her.
Yeah, well, yes. I'm glad she did right by me. Like I'm glad she's still here. But yeah, let's keep in touch. I do have some other business that I'm going to hit you about to let you know about too, and it's a good thing. And so I will be in touch with you about that soon. And let's keep in touch more often. And I'm happy that you're doing so well. And thank you for joining us with your pigtails today.
Thank you, guys. See you. All right, bye.
Have a good one. Thanks, Andy. Appreciate it.
Right, thanks.
Bye-bye. All right, thanks everybody for tuning in. Appreciate it. That was great to catch up with my friend, Miss Yendy. Do me a favor, please, and click the subscribe button and the bell icon below. The bell icon will remind you when upcoming shows are coming up. And also there is GOGOTIX.co, which I'm sorry, I'm not as up on getting the bookings done as fast as I can. So they're a little more last minute than I would like, but hopefully I can get on top of that. It's just been a little bit crazy. Also, GOGOTIX.co /shop right here. You can get your GoGo AF, your GoGo as fuck t-shirts. Also, if you want to look at my super hot model wife, you can go to Instagram.com or I'm sorry, it's at GetGogoTix on Instagram. And she was nice enough to be the model for me for the GoGo AF sweatshirts, which are available now. So you can get a t-shirt or a sweatshirt if you head over to GOGOTIX.co /shop. Thank you again for tuning in. And I don't remember who's up next week, but just stay tuned to GOGOTIX.co and subscribe, and you'll get reminders about who it is as soon as it's ready. All right. Thanks, guys. Have a great one. Appreciate it.